Welcome! We jump straight into the chaos because this one moves fast. A leak has exploded inside Maranello, and every corner of Ferrari is feeling the shockwave. Right now, you need to understand the basics. Allegedly, a set of secret contract negotiations between Lewis Hamilton and Mercedes, including a massive exit structure, was exposed, and sources inside the team point the finger at Charles Leclerc, or someone very close to him. That allegation alone turns a normal rumor into a full-blown political earthquake. Imagine being in the garage the day that dropped. Engineers who've been living and breathing CFD and wind tunnel hours suddenly get pulled into fury and confusion. The management team, who just bet big on Hamilton, are looking at spreadsheets that suddenly read like a donation to a rival. The number everyone is whispering is roughly $120 million, not just salary, but bonuses, retention, and exit protections that, if triggered, would hand Hamilton an easy path out and give Mercedes priority on him for the crucial 2026 season. Why does that matter? Because 2026 is where the sport resets. New engines, new rules, and any driver who moves then brings invaluable insight with them. So the leak isn't just embarrassing, it's potentially suicidal from a competitive standpoint. In the hours after the revelation, the Paddock changed tone. What had been polite speculation flipped to immediate damage control. I want you to picture two things at once. A Ferrari boardroom, where voices are raised and legal teams are flipping clauses like cards, and a garage where the data loggers and telemetry are being poured over as if they were evidence in a trial. People are asking, was this a career calculation by Leclerc because he felt marginalized, or an accidental slip by someone close to him? Either way, it fractures trust, which in F1 is as important as horsepower. And if you're with me so far, do me one small favor: subscribe to the channel and help us hit 2,000 subscribers so we can keep bringing fast, no-fluff F1 breakdowns right after moments like this. Also, drop a quick comment below. Do you think Leclerc leaked this intentionally? Type yes. Or was it an accident? Someone else? Type no. I'll read through them and pin the best replies. All right, we've set the scene, we've named the stakes, and we've felt the temperature in Maranello. Next up, I'll unpack the contract itself, the clauses and the numbers that turned a messy rumor into a full strategic crisis. Now, let's dig into the actual paperwork, because the details are why this story stopped being gossip and started looking like a full-scale strategic emergency. The headline figure you heard earlier, roughly $120 million, isn't just a flashy number. It's the sum of a layered deal that reportedly includes guaranteed salary, retention bonuses tied to specific milestones, performance incentives, and very generous severance or exit payments if certain conditions aren't met. In plain terms, it looks less like a contract to secure a driver and more like a safety net designed to make leaving painless. The clause that sent everyone in Maranello into a meltdown was the exit mechanism paired with a priority return for Mercedes when 2026 rolls around. That means if Hamilton chose to activate his escape under the stated performance triggers, Mercedes would have first dibs to sign him for the next era. And that is the dangerous part. Why? Because 2026 is the next technical reset of the sport. The rules change so dramatically that the knowledge a driver carries about a rival team's development, setup tendencies, and aero compromises becomes strategically priceless. Handing Mercedes priority on a driver who's just been inside Ferrari's development loop is, as one board member reportedly put it, paying your competitor to help them win. From a legal standpoint, this combination of generous payouts plus a prioritized return clause looks like a masterclass in hedging. It protects the driver while leaving the employer exposed. Ferrari's lawyers immediately started modeling worst-case scenarios. How much would they actually owe in payouts if forced to terminate for cause? How tightly could they argue that these secret talks constituted a material breach? And crucially, could they block the priority clause or argue it was unenforceable? Meanwhile, from an operational perspective, engineers began to fear a brain drain. Every hour Hamilton spends learning the 2025 car, its quirks and its development path could be reverse-engineered by a rival if he moves back. That's the competitive intelligence hemorrhage everyone's terrified of. So, I want to hear from you. If you were the board, with that contract on the table, would you keep Hamilton and try to manage the risk? Or would you cut him loose to protect long-term development? Type keep or cut in the comments and tell me why. If this legal deep dive surprised you, hit the like button. It helps others find this breakdown. And don't forget to subscribe to help us reach 2,000 subscribers so we can keep unpacking these big F1 moments. This is where the story turns into a real boardroom thriller. Picture the scene. Ferrari's senior executives, legal advisors, and lead engineers packed into one room while outside the garage, the team that designs the car is operating under an atmosphere you can cut with a knife. The leaked contract didn't just embarrass anyone, it detonated across the organization, and it immediately became a question of authority and survival. According to sources, the meeting went nuclear. People were shouting over telemetry printouts and CFD comparisons. Engineers were leaning over screens to prove that resources had been skewed toward one side of the garage, and managers were demanding to know who authorized what. Leclerc, apparently unmoved by the chaos, reportedly said only, "Everyone should know the truth," which framed him as an avenger to some and a saboteur to others. Hamilton, for his part, pushed back hard. He accused the team of strategic inconsistency and even sabotage in recent race weekends, and he pointed to a pattern of decisions that, in his view, justified looking for safeguards. Meanwhile, the lawyers started parsing the exact language of the leaked documents for material breaches, and the HR and compliance teams were modeling every termination scenario, because firing a 7-time champion mid-season is both legally fraught and commercially explosive. The practical fallout in the factory was immediate. Rather than focus all R&D on a single coherent development path, Ferrari quietly instructed teams to split resources into 2 parallel programs. Path A optimized for Hamilton's driving characteristics and upgrades tailored to his style, and Path B engineered for Leclerc's preferences, a sharper front end and a different aero balance. That split is the technical equivalent of shooting yourself in both feet. It dilutes wind tunnel time, doubles simulation load, and slows progress on both concepts. Engineers started hoarding data, cross-team meetings became less frequent, and the internal culture shifted from collaboration to factionalism. For fans watching from the outside, it looks like a team imploding from the inside out. And in many ways, that's exactly what it is. A leadership vacuum turned into a very public fight. Now I want you to weigh in. If you had to choose one driver to build a team around for the next 5 years, who do you pick? Hamilton or Leclerc? Leave your pick and a 1-sentence reason in the comments. I'll highlight the most thoughtful answers. Also, if this inside look helped you understand the severity of the split, smash the like button and subscribe. We're pushing for 2,000 subscribers, and your support helps us keep delivering these fast, insider breakdowns. Ready to move into Chapter 4 and see how the rest of the paddock is reacting. We're moving now from Maranello's meltdown to the rest of the paddock, and the picture shifts from internal chaos to opportunistic strategy. Mercedes, Red Bull, McLaren, and everyone else are watching and adjusting their chessboards. Toto Wolff's reaction is classic chess master play. He didn't need to provoke this. The leak handed him leverage. Reports about simulator bookings and Mercedes quietly preparing for the possibility of Hamilton's return aren't idle gossip. Booking valuable sim time for a potential signing signals intent and operational readiness. And in F1, that's a huge step. For Mercedes, it's simple math. Bring Hamilton back, you get an experienced leader who can accelerate development toward 2026, and you strip Ferrari of the person who might hand you their roadmap. George Russell's position becomes awkward but pragmatic. He's publicly a team player, but privately, many insiders reckon he sees Hamilton's return as the fastest route back to a competitive package. Red Bull, meanwhile, is almost giddy. Internal. Chatter suggests they see Ferrari's self-inflicted wounds as a free gift, a summer-long distraction that helps Max and the team consolidate their advantage. But beyond the big three, the driver market ripples are massive. Oscar Piastri is an obvious name. If a top Ferrari seat opens, McLaren's young talent could be tempted to jump for the prestige and resources of Ferrari. And managers like Mark Webber are already said to be probing. Lando Norris would then face a reshaped teammate situation and a different career calculus entirely. This is why the sim time rumor mattered so much. It's not just optics. It's operational signaling that shifts how teams plan months of development. And there's another layer: sponsors, shareholder optics, and recruitment. If Ferrari looks unstable, top engineers and partners get nervous. Rivals can quietly open negotiation windows, and talent pipelines start to redirect. Now, I want to hear your take for the Paddock drama. Where do you see Hamilton landing if the move happens? Mercedes, retired, or another team? Type your pick in the comments and add one sentence why. The best replies will get pinned. Also, do a quick yes/no in the comments. Do you think Mercedes will re-sign Hamilton mid-season? Yes or no? If this Paddock analysis is what you want more of, hit like and subscribe. Help us reach 2,000 subscribers so we can keep delivering fast, inside-track breakdowns. Ready for the final chapter, where we map the likely scenarios. All right, final chapter. And this is where everything converges into the clearest picture yet of what's actually possible, what's legally realistic, and what fans should be watching over the next few race weekends. Think of this as the scenario map Ferrari's crisis team is already using behind closed doors. Scenario 1, the nuclear option. Ferrari terminates Hamilton for material breach. Legally, this is the hardest path. They'd need to prove that his private talks with Mercedes meet the threshold for a breach that justifies immediate dismissal. The lawyers aren't confident, and the financial risk is enormous. The payout could reach tens of millions. The PR fallout would be catastrophic, and rival teams would swarm Ferrari's talent pool. Still, this scenario remains on the table if the internal climate becomes truly unmanageable. Scenario 2, the managed exit. Hamilton finishes the season. Ferrari activates separation clauses, and both parties present it as a mutual realignment of long-term objectives. This is the path that protects Ferrari's sponsors and keeps the garage operational through the final races. Behind the scenes, this scenario gives the team time to court replacements, with Piastri, Albon, Sainz, and even a wild card like Antonelli, all being evaluated based on timing, cost, and future potential. Scenario 3, the stability gamble. Ferrari keeps Hamilton for 2025 and hopes their 2026 project is strong enough to rebuild trust. Internally, many engineers hate this scenario because it extends the two-driver development split and risks more leaks, more factionalism, and more political warfare. But from a marketing and brand standpoint, Ferrari may prefer continuity over chaos. This scenario requires heavy internal restructuring and strict data compartmentalization. Think Mercedes's 2016 post-Nico protocols. Now let's zoom in on the legal timeline, because this is where everything gets real. In the next 3 weeks, Ferrari's legal team needs to conclude whether they can argue a breach. If they can't, they'll pivot to negotiating an exit that minimizes penalty exposure. At the same time, agents across the paddock are already scheduling informal meetings. Remember, as soon as a top seat becomes unstable, every manager with a worthwhile driver starts sniffing around. The next flashpoint? Las Vegas. The Vegas GP is the pressure cooker. Every major team principal and every board-level sponsor will be physically present. If morale fractures again, or if the car allocations between Hamilton and Leclerc look unbalanced, that's when journalists start digging. And leaks usually spike. Watch for 3 signs: sudden PR briefings, unusual engineering reshuffles, and overnight meetings at team hospitality units. Any of these happening together is a dead giveaway that a decision is imminent. So now it's your turn. Which scenario do you think is most likely? Nuclear, managed exit, or stability gamble? Drop your pick in the comments and tell me why. In 1 sentence, I'll pin the smartest take. And before you click away, make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell. Your subscription is incredibly important to us and helps us push toward our goal of 2,000 subscribers. If you've enjoyed this deep dive series, liking the video is the best way to tell YouTube to show it to more F1 fans just like you. Thanks for sticking with me through this wild 5-chapter breakdown. And stay tuned, because if anything else leaks, breaks, or explodes in this story, you know I'll be here to break it down fast, clear, and drama-free.